The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and are not those of WKYU-TV, its management, or WKU.
All right, the original OGs are here to talk some WKU sports in the house for the next 30 minutes. Hope you're having a good holiday, Martin Luther King Day out there.
Definitely.
For all you guys that got the day off and got to kick back and just chill out and relax, it was a nice day to do that.
Been a good one. Went and got some sushi. Celebrated Martin Luther King Day that way.
There you go.
Not sure if that makes sense, but it was nice.
Got to do what you got to do. Obviously, we're running the two-man weave tonight. Shane Bearden is out. He is sick, coughing up a couple lungs over
That's
the
what it
weekend.
sounded like, yeah.
And so we don't want him around the studio. Spread is contagious disease.
Not at all.
So
I'm not trying to be sick.
we'll run the two-man weave tonight. We'll talk a little WKU sports. How about it, Woody?
Sounds like a plan to me.
All right, let's do it. First off, I guess, mediocre week for Western Kentucky basketball, going 1-1 on the week. Obviously, losing a close one to Arkansas Little Rock, and then a double overtime win against Arkansas State. So a lot of free basketball. This
A lot of free basketball, yeah.
Overtime game and a double overtime game. So I think it's the first time that's happened in I think it was 3 or 4 years.
Something like that, yeah.
But so everybody got some free basketball, and obviously, people were happy Saturday night, not so much on Thursday. But before we get into the review and everything like that, we'll kind of go back to Thursday night. Obviously, the big news before the game started was TJ Price sitting out for the game, violation of team rules. Obviously, kind of disappointing to not have your leading scorer out there, and obviously a lot of WKU fans felt the same way.
Definitely.
I mean, what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, like I said, it was definitely like a game time announcement. Like I didn't, know anything about it until I wasn't able to be there Thursday. And then my dad texted me from the game. He's like, "And TJ's not dressed." And I was like, "Really? What's going on?" So I texted some people and found out what was going on. And it's definitely disappointing. You're one of your big leaders, your leading scorer on the team, not to have him, but. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way it goes sometimes.
And obviously kind of, without going into detail or anything like that, from what we've heard and everything, it just seems like it's college kids being college kids, and it's not a big deal. Obviously big deal in the sense that if he was playing Thursday night, would the outcome have been different? Possibly, quite possibly, but you really can't think that way. Kids are going to go out and, do stuff and whatever, simple college mistake, nothing major or anything like that. And, as Matt Coleman, who is hollered at us on Twitter here, at Matthew T. Coleman, he says, do the crime, you got to do the time. Ray ain't going to favor it. Ain't going to have no favorites. So that's really, about it. Obviously you got to do that. So, TJ Price set out, but it really, honestly, is as disappointing as that was, and really caught a lot of flack on it, especially after the fact, because we lost, obviously. So there was a few fans, a handful of WKU fans on Twitter was really kind of dogging him a little bit, I guess, because, cost his team a win and everything like that. A little bit of overreaction, I believe. I think this game Thursday night, without TJ Price in the lineup, it really gave other players opportunities to shine.
Yeah, definitely.
You really look at it, you got Alex Rostov, he actually broke out of his shell.
Finally.
Turned into the Hulk and just broke out of his turtle shell. Sophomore slumps over, man.
That was awesome. I was excited to see that for sure.
He scored 20 points, and really, you look at the way he played Thursday night. It was really awesome to watch because he kind of played with some reckless abandon. He was very confident.
He's getting a little fire back into him.
He's getting a little fire. He was doing the 3 to the dome.
If you're knocking him down like he was,
he was hitting those threes. That's what they do now. The kids.
I guess that's the thing.
3 to the dome.
I do that
Used to be
playing
the
pickup
3
ball
goggles
at church and stuff.
You do that at the ball?
Yeah.
I thought that's when you eat the triple cheeseburger.
I might do that too.
Yeah.
I'll do that after I play.
Just get up at McDonald's in the middle. 3 to the dome. Triple cheeseburger.
I'm going to do that after the show. We'll see how that goes.
But yeah, it was good to see Alex kind of break out of his shell. Everybody's talking about how he's in a sophomore slump. I think he was averaging a little over 3 points. Obviously, at times not getting a lot of playing time, but obviously definitely needed his help Thursday night because at the same token, you flip the coin. TJ Price is not in the lineup, but George Fant's having a bad game, and a lot of that had to do with foul trouble. He didn't get a lot of minutes, didn't get a lot of production, so you need to have people step up. Rostov did that. Did a very good job of it, and you talk about Kevin Kaspar as well.
Yeah, it was great to see Casper come out and play and knock some shots down. He looked like he just as confident as ever. So, as you go forward through these games, the next second half of the season, you want players like that are confident, and whenever they're called upon, that can step in and fill a role. Because you never know what could happen. You could have an injury, you could have another suspension. Hopefully not, but I mean, you never know.
It can happen,
So,
you know.
yeah, we lost the game to Little Rock, but it was good to see players like Caspar Hardy. I mean, Brandon Harris hit a few shots.
Mm-hmm.
Guys that haven't had a huge role the last couple of weeks that have, stepped in and played well.
Really, it wasn't a bad shooting night. I mean, you really
Right.
look at the shooting effort. The only unfortunate aspect of it is defensively, probably not our best
Not
game,
our best effort, for
especially
sure.
when Little Rock shoots 58% from the field, and Will Neighbor has his career high 32 points.
Yeah, I think his previous career high was 24. I think
Yeah,
is
I
what
think
I saw,
so,
and he had
yeah.
32 against us.
You know, I was really hoping that Ben Lawson would guard him at the start of the
You
game.
gotta see the
he had
matchup of the
English-
British guys.
Yeah, the British guys going at one another, but yeah,
Maybe the
another time,
rematch
yeah.
down there. You never know.
Yeah, maybe a rematch down there. But yeah, I mean, obviously defensive troubles for Western Kentucky. Thursday night, hot shooting from Little Rock, but Western Kentucky really did a good job of kind of countering it with some good shooting of their own. They're in the second half, maybe struggled a little bit from the field, but they got hot from three-point range, and that really kept them in the game. Especially there in overtime. But let's talk about the Josh Higgins kid. He went all MJ there at the last minute of the game.
I didn't know what to say about him. We're 5 minutes left. We're up by 8 points. I'm feeling confident. I was like, yeah, we're going to get out of here with a win without TJ. It's going to be good. And all of a sudden, he just decides that he's going to start pulling up from wherever with his eyes closed, one hand tied behind his back, and he was just knocking him down. That's what it felt like. But
well, it's
man.
funny. It's funny too, just to recreate the sequence, which I know a lot of WKU fans don't want to hear. But I mean, he hits a 3-pointer with 22 seconds left. I think they pull within one. Brandon Harris gets fouled, goes down, hits 1 of 1, so they're down by 2. He goes down and hits a clutch jumper, while MJ. But man, the thing that really got me was WKU's last possession. And Higgins blocked 2 shots, shot attempts for Western Kentucky when they're trying to win the game. I mean, you don't really see that, often, especially from a guard.
From a guard, for sure. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, he was. I know with I think it was the last shot he blocked Brandon Harris's attempt coming out of the inbounds pass. But man, I mean, he was just an absolute beast mode there at the last 20 seconds of the game.
Didn't feel like losing, I guess.
Yeah, he didn't feel like losing, and he was a factor in the overtime session as well. I think he hit a couple jump shots, and of course Will Neighbor hits a layup, the go-ahead layup, and then Higgins kind of sealed it with some free throws there at the end. So, you kind of look at that effort. I mean, what do you think about the effort overall? I mean, obviously, Price isn't in the game, Fance in foul trouble, but we had other players step up. Was it a good quality loss? I mean, if you could say that, in your opinion, Woody?
I want to say quality loss, but I think it was a good learning loss, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I said, you saw some players that, were able
Is
to...
there such thing as a good quality loss? I just threw that out there, man.
Maybe. I think there's always learning experiences,
Yeah.
Like I said, you saw players that maybe needed a little confidence boost, especially Alex. I mean, this team this season, really the only thing we've been missing is that, that 5-man to step up, and whether it be Alex or Aaron or whoever, but, he had some confidence builders, knocked some shots down, and we saw that carry over Saturday night too. He had not as good of a game Saturday, but still was pretty serviceable. So.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You talk about Fant being in foul trouble. He had 4 points, 3 rebounds, only had 19 minutes of action. So, you've got your 2, first-team Sunbelt All-American performers. One's out for the game, and one's only playing 19 minutes and is troubled by fouls. So, I think to have that kind of effort, I definitely agree with you on that aspect. To have that kind of effort with those 2 guys out, I think it's kind of, inspiring to see that other players are going to step up, because you're going to need that down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that box score with TJ not playing and George and what he did, and that could easily be looked at as a 20 or 25-point loss just on paper. But, those other guys stepped up and fought hard and just, came up maybe a few free throws short at the end. But
yeah, well, speaking of free throws, continues to be an issue.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a team go through a couple-week stretch where, we had Georgia State, who was 22 of 22 against us, and then what I think Little Rock was 19 of 21 or something like that.
18 of 22 for 81%. So.
That's a crazy 2-game stretch, and then we were, I don't know what we were, but not where we needed to be in those couple of games.
No, not where we needed to be. But
that's a big difference.
Continues to be and we talk about this on the show all the time. I mean, look, free throws, it's a lost art in my opinion. Just like kind of pure shooting is almost a lost art in college basketball. But, free throws, and like we've said it on here before, players need to take the initiative to shoot free throws, get better at it, because it's something you're really not going to focus on a whole lot in practice.
No.
You're going to focus on your sets. And, players got to take the initiative to do that, and hopefully some WKU players are hitting the gym at midnight and shooting some free throws. So, but we'll continue to see that struggle. And speaking of free throws, that have kind of come up in the Arkansas State review as we talk about that game. But before we do that, I just want to tell everybody out there, if you're Twitter interactive and Twitter savvy, holler at us on Twitter at TopperTalk TV, and give us your thoughts on the games this past week and the games that are coming up as we go down to the Bayou for a weekly
big road trip
Louisiana stretch. So, give us your predictions of the week to come, and also give us your thoughts on the games last week. We'll holler back at you.
We love interaction, for sure.
We love interaction, and we got a lot already from 2 people, so
nice.
It's always good. But let's flip forward to Saturday. Got Arkansas State coming in here. Good double overtime victory. More free basketball.
Definitely.
WKU fans went home happy this time.
You bring up the fans. I mean, it was awesome to see a crowd like that out.
It was.
I was very pleasantly surprised after. Thursday night's crowd was a little on the weak side. Saturday was our second biggest crowd this year outside of the Ole Miss game, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. It was definitely loud and diddle. I wasn't able to go to the Thursday game, but you kind of bring up a point to the crowd before we get into the game. Well, what do you make of the WKU home crowd, the fans around here? You got kind of a lackluster crowd on a weeknight, and then you got a nice crowd on Saturday.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, the weeknight games have always been a struggle around here. It seems like. Saturday nights are obviously going to do a little better, but I think teams are just kind of tired of these Sunbelt teams, or fans are just kind of tired of these Sunbelt teams. Like, that sounds bad. Like, you should be a fan of the team either way.
Now, you bring up a good point,
but
because
I think that's where we're at.
You really, I guess you kind of go back to the non-conference schedule, and Ole Miss coming in here. Of course, I know the big draw with Ole Miss is crazy Marshall Henderson, and he came in and did his thing and acted all, stupid and whatnot. But, he had a good shot that game. So, but yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm curious to see kind of how the crowds. Obviously, they're getting better right now, but how they'll actually compare to this time next year. Whenever we got Conference USA teams, and we also got the non-conference schedule as well.
If we continue out the rest of this year and win our fair share of games, and then going into Conference USA next year, I think the average fan's going to be much more excited about watching a UAB come into Diddle than they are a Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah. Well,
no offense to Monroe or anything. That's a big game this week.
Hawks.
But I think the fans are just ready for that next step. So I know for me it's hard to know that that's where we're going towards, and then we're still here this year. But it is what it is.
Well, hey, just gotta
support the team either way.
Yeah, and I think you want fans to kind of want WKU to go out on top in the Sun Belt, and right now it's looking really good. Everybody's going to complain about the Georgia State loss, but Georgia State's a really good team. They're undefeated in conference play right now.
They're on a roll right now.
I think really they're going to be the cream of the crop during the regular season.
Yeah.
But depending on how the brackets shake out for the Sun Belt tournament, it'd be interesting to see if we play them in the tournament time. I think we play them later on this year, so that'd be an interesting matchup to play them down at their place. But obviously they're on fire right now in the Sun Belt play. So, but yeah, I kind of agree with you on the crowd. It's always going to be a struggle on weeknights. But at least people come in here on Saturdays and support the team, and their fair share comes in on Thursdays. So hopefully that'll improve next year whenever we get more, teams in here, and obviously better quality basketball teams as well. So, but just going back to the Arkansas State game on Saturday, double overtime, 82-77 win. Big win for Western. We talked about Fant being kind of a no-show in the game against Little Rock. He was the complete opposite.
Very much a show on that.
He put forth, he was really, honestly, that was probably his best effort I think I've ever seen him play as far as finishing. We've always talked about he has trouble finishing around the basket. Everybody, I know that's a WKU fan says that.
Everybody's thought that at some point, for sure.
Missed layups are a problem with Fant, God bless him, but he's a really great player, but he just has trouble with that.
Yeah.
But he didn't really have a lot of problems with that. He finished strong.
He put everything away.
There was like 2 or 3 times he missed a layup, got blocked. But other than that, he was very, strong in his post game and did a really good job finishing. Got a lot of and-ones.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily finish them on the free throws. But, hey, he got a career high 27 points.
That's right.
14 rebounds, and he played all 45 minutes. So that was pretty impressive.
That's pretty huge.
Well.
Yeah, I listened to the call-in show in the post game, and I think it was Wes Strader that compared Georgia's game that night to Jim McDaniels from back in the 70s. And that's anytime you get compared to Big Jim, that's a huge accomplishment.
It was a solid effort for sure, and talk about that as well. Scoring 27 points, 11-18 shooting, but he also scored his 1,000th career point here at Western Kentucky. So obviously a big feat for him, and nice to see him do it on score your 1,000th point on a career night points wise. and you get a double overtime victory. So nice cherry on top there for George Fant. Speaking of that call-in show, do you call in using an anonymous name?
I don't call in. I really just enjoy listening to Wes and Coach Richards.
Yeah, it's always good.
It's funny. They're awesome. It's fun to listen to for sure.
But of course, at the same token, we're talking about Price being out for the Little Rock game. Well, he came back in a big way.
Definitely.
Against Arkansas State. He scored 19 points, had 8 rebounds. I thought he was very efficient from the field. Kind of, it's one of those games. Sometimes, we always have flashbacks to earlier in the season against Bowling Green State where TJ was throwing up 3-point shots after 3-point shots. I think he scored 23 points on 24 shots or something like that. And obviously, just maybe a horrible night for him despite he scored 23 points. But I like it whenever he has the game come to him. He lets the game come to him. And that seemed like what he does. And, Fant was having a really good game inside and really needed to because, they really countered with their bigs down low, like Kendrick Washington Kid. And
Washington was solid. He had a good game.
Van Slyke, he had a pretty good game as well. So it was good to see George down there, beating and banging down low and doing what he did. But, Price let the game come to him, hit some really key shots, and didn't really force anything, and I like that. I like to see his game kind of progress, and it's almost like he didn't really have to. The weight of the game wasn't on his shoulders to hit a shot or anything like that. So it was really good to kind of see him put forth that effort on a game where, he obviously had to sit out, and I'm sure it was disappointing for him and his teammates to not have him out there. So good to see him bounce back. Like you mentioned earlier, Rostov had another good solid effort, 8 points, 5 rebounds. So
that's the kind of game we need from him more or less night in, night out. I mean, if he wants to explode for 20 points every now and then, that's fine. But if he can average
Go right ahead,
he can average that 8.5 rebound kind of game, I think this team will be much better off.
And
if he's getting no points and 1 rebound.
Yeah, a lot better production than that. All right. But you kind of mentioned him earlier, but Aaron Dedeoye, I think he is playing a little bit better offensively. I know he had, I think, 8 rebounds, but I think offensively he's playing really well. I always seen him, like at the beginning of the season, try to shoot that 15-foot jump shot, like from the corner, from the top of the key. He missed it more times than he hit it, but it seems like now he's hitting it more times than he's missing it. So
watching him hit that shot at the end of the game, and then like smiling at the crowd, telling everybody to calm down, that was awesome. That was a good moment.
Yeah, that was a good moment for him, and I think he's slowly building offensive confidence in his game. He's starting to hit that shot, like I said, 15-footer. From the corner, from the top of the key, he's starting to hit that more consistent. I think that's going to give him a lot more confidence going forward in his offensive game as well, so he could be a little bit more of an offensive threat. But obviously, he's a rebounder. That's what he wants to do. At the beginning of the season, he said, my job here is to rebound. I know that's how I know I'm going to have a spot in the lineup. So he's doing a really good job of that. But obviously, he came up really big, especially in the overtime sessions as well, hitting those big shots. So
he kind of plays the same way I did when I was in high school, and it's
really?
A little bit. I wasn't so much of a banger, but
one.
I like the mid-range game, and I like to watch his positioning and the decision making that he has, and it's been good to see that improve. He's starting to make the right passes, and he's getting himself in the right spots, and it's those little things like that help the offense improve and get us in the right positions that we need to be for sure.
Exactly. So obviously a good performance by them. Slow start for us, but we managed to come back. Kind of a game of runs there in the first half. And let's talk about CHD. I mean,
big time.
Three straight 3-pointers in the second half. And kind of the second half of this game, we weren't shooting the ball really well. We started off really cold.
So I think we had 3 points the first 8 minutes.
I think we went 4.5 minutes without even hitting a field goal. So
at some point,
or without even scoring
season,
points.
surely.
We've been talking about that throughout the season. Stretches where we don't score points or we don't hit field goals. We're making up for it a little bit because we got a little bit more weapons if we do go through those stretches, but I would hate to see it if maybe CHD and Trinity Jackson weren't available.
That's true. It'd be tough.
Because, obviously they bring another dimension to the offense, but CHD with those 3 straight threes obviously kind of opened it up offensively for us in the second half.
We were at a point where they had gone on like a 10-3 run maybe to start the half, something like that, and he comes down and hits those 3 straight threes, and then TJ hits one, and we're back up, whatever it was, about like 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that was a huge stretch of the game.
Yeah, it was. And, like I said, TJ got in the mix on the 3-pointers and everything like that, and Diddle really started rocking at that point. It was a little lull right there when that scoreless streak going on. But when CHD kind of went off and hit those 3 straight threes, the fans got back in the game, and obviously, kind of helped us get that double overtime victory. But you really look at the stats, I mean, something that Western Kentucky has done well all year, out-rebounding their opponents. And they did that again, 51-37 edge on the boards. Really the biggest thing, we talk about rebounds, 19 offensive rebounds.
Well, that's huge.
That led to, I think, 25 second chance points for us, and we scored 22 points off their turnovers. So,
if you're doing those two things, the way we play, we're going to be in a good position to win most of the games.
Yeah, I mean, that's real efficient offense right there. I mean, to get those offensive rebounds, get those second chance points, score points off turnovers, that's what you want to see. And it's really important to do that whenever you're kind of struggling from the field, at a certain stretch in the second half. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a really good effort, and Kendrick Washington for Arkansas State, he was kind of the X factor for them. Had a really good game, which is kind of weird because Arkansas State's kind of looking at their stats, kind of more of a 3-point shooting team, outside shooters, but they kind of looked and it's kind of a game of matchups and everything like that. And obviously he had a good matchup down low. Him and Fant were battling and everything like that. So it was a good matchup to watch. But obviously a good win. You don't want to end a 3-game home schedule, streak with, going 0 for 3. So
it's hard to say any game this in January is a must win, but that game felt like a must win.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go 0 and 3 at home, and then the difference between 3 and 2 and 2 and 3 in the conference, it's just one game, but it feels like
it's
a lot
big,
more.
Yeah, it's big because you really look at the standings too, and you see Georgia State up there at the top, 6-0.
Yeah.
So every win's kind of going to be key because you got a lot of other teams 3-2, and the two teams we're going to fix them to play this week are 3-2 in the conference as well.
Little Rock and both Louisiana schools and us are all sitting with 2 losses right now. So
Yeah.
this road stretch this week is going to be a big one.
All right, we got some interaction here. Wilson Phipps at Water Buffalo 45. Yeah, Wilson Phillips. He asks, "Is Alex Rostov the X factor for the rest of the season?" I say yes.
Yeah, I would say so.
Until somebody else steps up.
Until there's another option there at the 5. He's going to have to. Like I say, he doesn't have to score 20 every night. If he does, awesome. But
but like the 8.5 rebound.
That's the
effort.
perfect game for him.
Yeah.
Maybe not as many turnovers or balls hitting him in the chest and he's bouncing off. Catch the ball.
There was a couple of street ball moments there.
There was.
Where Chris Harrison Docs threw it off of Alex Rostov's head. It's almost like street ball.
They come from a little different basketball background.
A little
they
bit,
may not be ready for that yet.
It almost looked like the professor in street ball was like just trying to, check somebody off their jock strap
That's
at
pretty
the
much
top
what
of
it
the
was,
key in one of those street ball mixtapes, but bouncing the ball off his head. But hey, it's whatever. Yeah, but I think he'll be the X factor. Obviously, defensively, and he needs a little bit of work.
Mm-hmm.
He had some defensive lulls there in Saturday's game, but offensively, he's obviously building up his confidence.
Yeah.
20 points and 8 points. You can really kind of tell. Beginning of the season, he was a little skittish down low and making mistakes, and but he was a little bit more confident the last 2 games. That's what I like to see. You talk about the Little Rock loss, but really I like to see Rostov's confidence, and even Kevin Kaspar as well had an efficient night shooting and followed that up with another solid night as well. So, yeah, I think Rostov would be the X factor. I like to see Adele be the X factor too. I think he would be another one that you can kind of put up there. Somebody else that's building offensive confidence and also getting some rebounds as well. So I think that would be kind of interesting to see.
As much as our team relies on TJ and his scoring, the games we've lost have been the games when George hasn't been involved. I think I saw a stat where in our losses, George is averaging like 5 points compared to in the wins, he's averaging like 17 points. So, with you talk about Aaron and Alex, we've got to have somebody that if George does get in foul trouble or if he, whatever happens, that there's not that big of a drop-off. So hopefully with Alex improving and Aaron starting to, get his confidence there too, hopefully that drop-off won't be such a huge deal anymore.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to have a exact answer to this, but our favorite Twitter follower, Wally, at TrailerPimp1, hollers at us and says, how are the tops ranking in stats in the Sun Belt Conference, shooting, rebounding, etc.? I don't have an answer to that.
I think I saw earlier where we are number 1 in rebounding.
Okay, that's good.
Chad Bishop was tweeting out some stats right before the show started. But
yeah, I just kind of pay attention to the standings.
I mean,
I figured we were up there in rebounding. We always do. Like I said, that's the one thing we've done a really good, consistent job on all year is out rebounding.
I'm
our
sure
opponents.
scoring we're not very high up. But, I mean,
we got some work to do, man.
Like you said, I mean, standings is really the only thing that ends up mattering. I mean, if we come in 10th in scoring, but we're first or second in the conference, then there's no problem.
Yeah. So 11-7 on the season, 3-2 in Sun Belt Conference. We're going to Louisiana this week. How do you see that kind of playing out, taking on those two teams?
It's a huge road trip. Well, Louisiana, Monroe has been a place where, you usually count on a win, but they're 3-2 right there with us.
6-7 on the season. They've doubled up their win total from last year.
They have,
right?
yeah. They've got some, they got some good pieces to that team, and they're gonna play defense. So it'll be a fun matchup. I think I still, I feel confident we can go down there and win, but we've got to have our main guys show up. George said in the post game, he was excited to see how TJ would play because he's going home to Louisiana, and he always does well down there. So. Hopefully TJ's a little extra motivated, coming off that suspension still also, and I'd love to see him just, go off for like a 30-point game or something in one of these games.
That'd be great, yeah. I mean, you talk about Louisiana Monroe, how improved they are. They also swept Alabama teams this past week. So, I mean, we did the same thing for the first time in I think ever.
Yeah.
And, Louisiana Monroe, a team that won 3 games last year, went and did it this year. So, obviously, that kind of shows that they're an improved team.
Yeah.
And they've got 3 really good scores, 3 players that average double digits. So, be interesting to see how that happens. So, what about Lafayette?
Lafayette, they rely on mainly their 2 main guys, Sean Long and Alfred Payton. They're both averaging.
Shut those guys down, man. You got to win, man.
They're both averaging like right at 20. So
I think they average about 80% of their points. Right?
That sounds about right. But man, if those 2 guys though are about as talented as a combo that's in the Sun Belt. Alfred Payton. His stock was soaring this summer playing for the Team USA. I guess U20s or something like that. But
I remember we was talking about that on the show. I mean, you look at Long; he's averaging a double-double.
Yeah.
He's averaging 10 boards and 20 points. So
while shooting like 40% from 3, he's a good player for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, what do you see? What do you think? You think we'll get 2 wins out of here?
I would love to say we'll get 2 wins. If we can split them, we'll be fine. A split would be, I think.
Oh, wait. We split it, man. We got to fire Harper.
Yeah. I'm sure somebody will say it. Maybe kick TJ Price off the team, too. No, nobody's going to say that anymore, hopefully. But
come on now. We got to fire Harper, man. We got 1-1 down there.
I guess that's what it is. No, but if we can get the split on the road trip, I'll be content.
Yeah.
You can't drop them both. You can't fall to under 500 in the conference. So you definitely got to win one of them. But
I think you're right. You don't want to fall under 500. You want to get as good a seed as you can in the Sun Belt tournament. But you can definitely see them coming away with 2 victories here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people seem scared of Lafayette because those 2 guys are really good. But I feel really confident about Lafayette.
I mean, who else they got? I mean,
honestly, I'm a little more worried about the Monroe game, which is weird to say.
Yeah.
Because it'll be a game where we
so
go down
want to take them lightly,
Yeah, there'll be maybe like 300 people there.
Yeah.
It'll be a terrible atmosphere, and those games are tough. Like you would think it would be easy, but it's tough to play those games. So
it is true. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we're anxious to see, and I think the Lafayette game is on ESPN2.
I think I think I saw where it did get
ESPN2 on at 3:00, and I think that might be Eastern time.
Traditionally, our ESPN games don't go well, so maybe we can overcome that curse.
We'll find out. Obviously, we got about a minute left, so just want to throw some quick notes out there. East-West Shrine game this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Xavier Boyd and Andrew Jackson were part of that team. I think they were on the West squad on defense, and didn't watch a whole lot of it because it was kind of at the same time as the game, so I kind of watched a little bit of it and had it in the background. I know Xavier's had a couple tackles.
I know our helmets looked really good on TV.
Yeah, they always do.
That's about all I got out of that game.
That's what they were talking about this week because Antonio Andrews is getting ready to play in the Senior Bowl this weekend. So NFL scouts are down there, and they're saying that they're really impressed with Antonio Andrews.
He's impressing today, so
that's really good. They're impressed with how big he is and how fast he is to be that big of a back. So
I think he's going to have a good career in the pros.
Senior Bowl is something I'm really going to watch because I think Antonio Andrews get a lot more touches. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, and obviously will help his draft stock as well. So until then, next Monday night we'll be back. Same TopperTalk time, same TopperTalk channel. Go Tops.
Go Tops.